Lapras, the transport Pokemon. Welcome everyone, I'm Exceptional and I hope you are too. Today, we will be seeing how quickly I can defeat Pokemon FireRed, including the Round 2 Elite Four, using only my starter. Challenge rules are in the description. Lapras is a Pokemon that has been in my party in pretty much every single run that I've done, and yet I've never run Lapras. Our attack and defense stats are fairly good with 130 base HP but only 60 base speed. That speed might have given us a little bit more of a problem if it weren't for the egg move that I went with. Dragon Dance, which will increase our attack and speed by 1 stage in battle. As the water-ice type, we're probably going to find more utility in our special coverage, but I think that having a physical setup move might make this a really interesting run. I choose the nickname Tree Fitty, let me know in the comments section if you know where that one came from. And with a starting move of Stab or same type attack bonus Water Gun, I feel we're gonna have a really easy Brock. As part of the slow growth rate group, I am gonna choose to fight Camper Liam in Brock's gym. As a water type, he's a super easy 400 experience points. Let's check out Brock. We open up against Geodude hitting a Stab, 4 times super effective Water Gun, which also criticals. Talk about overkill. Onyx does outspeed us, so he won't go for Rock Tomb until we're in knockout range, hitting us with a Tackle, and we respond with a 4 times super effective Stab Water Gun for the knockout. I mean, is there any surprise here? We're a water type with a water move. Bye, Brock. In Mount Moon, I'm following the same ethos as I used against Camper Liam, defeating Hiker Marcos for an easy 600 experience points. I am a little bit worried about what awaits us in Cerulean City. Rival 2's Bulbasaur is bad news bears. On the other side of Mount Moon, I make sure to grab the Helix Fossil, because we're playing a blue Pokemon. Yep, that's all the reason I need. That little bit of extra experience in the cave granted us level 15, which I feel is going to be more than adequate for Misty. Let's check out the Water Mirror match. Tree Fitty's natural bulk is going to lend really well for this fight, and that egg move is going to make it a heck of a lot faster. At level 13 we learned Body Slam, which I feel would be enough to get us through this battle, but setting up 3 Dragon Dances against Staryu guarantees the win. I was just guessing with 3 DDs by the way, and Staryu is no problem. Misty's Ace Starmie is out next, and +3 seemed to be the magic number as Body Slam deals half. Oh, and we get the chance to paralyze? This battle is over. And it just keeps getting better too as we crit with the last turn. Oh my gosh, Misty, you stood no chance. That's a quick second badge, let's keep moving. Before jumping into the Rival 2 battle, I make sure to teach TM3 Water Pulse that we just collected from Misty, and let's see how this one goes. Water Pulse is dealing half to Pidgeotto, which is great news because I didn't really want to set up here. I've noticed in the past that if you try setting up against Pidgeotto, the AI just goes crazy with sand attacks. It seems that Water Pulse is actually going to be a range for the 2-shot, but somehow we make it through Pidgeotto, avoiding any sand attacks. Things are looking incredible against Bulbasaur as we get a critical Body Slam on the first turn, taking him all the way down into Red Bar. But then Bulbasaur puts us to sleep, we snooze away as his Stab super effective Overgrow boosted Vine Whips take us apart for the first reset. Rival 2 actually gets us 3 times before luck just kind of turns back in my favor. I'm still kind of figuring out what the heck I'm doing here, switching in a Body Slam, trying to use Water Pulse, mixing in a DD. Pretty much the summary of Pidgeotto is that I'm at +1 attack, +1 speed, -1 accuracy. Bulbasaur is out, and it looks like Body Slam put him right into Overgrow range again, but we evade a Leech Seed. Body Slam misses as Tree Fitty gets put to sleep. Oh man, not again. We take a nasty Vine Whip, but then we wake up hitting a critical Body Slam, ending Bulbasaur. Oh boy, Abra is free, but then Rattata could still take us out. Quick Attack is dealing 9 damage, come on, don't miss! And we connect, ending the battle. Whew, getting by Rival 2 with a water Pokemon is always such a good feeling. And honestly, we can jump right into our next rival battle on the SSN. I thought I'd get a little bit cheeky against Pidgeotto using Confuse Ray, hoping to avoid a sand attack and immediately taking one. I set up a second DD as Pidgeotto goes for a second sand attack. Uh-oh. I hit through with Body Slam for the critical, taking out Pidgeotto, but then Ivysaur hits the field. Tree Fitty wipes the sand from his eyes, hitting Body Slam and getting the paralysis, and Ivysaur is fully paralyzed. We then hit through once more, taking out Ivysaur and the threat of Rival 3. Ooh, that could have gone a lot worse. Raticate is out next, Body Slam takes care of him. And Treefitty must have rubbed all that sand out of his eyes because we just keep hitting, taking out Kadabra as well. We have a type disadvantage against our next gym leader, but I'm feeling pretty confident about it. Let's check out Lieutenant Surge. I wasn't overly worried about the Surge battle simply because you are able to skip him and come back later. With the inclusion of my egg move Dragon Dance though, I'm not too worried about this battle. Surge's Voltorb doesn't really have the greatest options against us, so I just use it to set up a couple turns of Dragon Dance. I set up to +3 while Voltorb unleashes some Sonic Booms, but I'm not sure if it or Shockwave would have been doing more. Either way, at +3, it's time for a sweep. I have my Cherry Berry equipped just in case, and at +3 attack and +3 speed, Body Slam carves through Surge's team. I went to +3 not for the speed, Raichu only has 53, but just to make sure that this was a one-shot. That's a third easy badge for Lapras. On the other side of Rock Tunnel, I make sure to dip down and grab TM27 Return. Now, I'm not going to be teaching it anytime soon, but with Dragon Dance on our set, it's nice to have another strong physical option. At 85 base power with a 30% chance to paralyze, Body Slam is pretty awesome. It's then off for the typical mid-game chores, then clearing the Rocket Hideout. This is a point where I definitely feel the need to highlight the beauty of doing 2 runs. At level 31, we learn Ice Beam, which is absolutely going to trivialize Erika. But first we have to get to level 31. I decided to do a little bit of extra training in Erika's gym, encountering the trainer with a single Execute. Execute embodies everything that Lapras cannot handle right now. Leech Seed and Sleep absolutely destroy us. Not just once, but twice. If I decide to battle a different trainer, then we level up to 31 learning Ice Beam. This is why I love the 2-run format, because I can make little slip-ups like this and fix them in the next run. With Ice Beam on our side, let's check out Erika. At level 30, this battle would have been a Cherry Berry and trying to set up with Dragon Dance and maybe another Dragon Dance against Tangela, and it would be so complicated. Now at level 31, we have Stab's super effective Ice Beam which one-shots her entire team. This kind of weird hybrid set is exactly what I was hoping for with Lapras. Incredible special coverage with a beefy physical option in case those don't work. That's now 4 gym leaders and 4 easy badges. Easily the most exciting thing about Ice Beam, though, is the rival battle. Ice Beam takes out Pidgeotto in a single shot, get out of here Bird Brains, and then Ivysaur hits the field once again. Stab's super effective Ice Beam translates to no more nappy time for Treefitty. Ice Beam then continues carving through the rival's team, switching to Water Pulse for Growlithe, but that's it. Rival 4, unlike the earlier rival battles, falls with no issue. Our path leads us to Silph next, where I'm going to be doing just the smallest amount of item collection because I do want to buy a few vitamins. I don't think I'm going to need a Game Corner TM in this run, but it's nice to keep your options open. And we can just keep progressing, facing Rival 5 next. Rival 5 definitely feels like the rival's biggest spike in power compared to his previous battle. We went from one-shotting everything to now missing the one-shot against the fully evolved Pidgeot. It should be noted that we are also under-leveled now. I get a little lost for a second going for a Dragon Dance and risking a Sand Attack, thankfully not taking one. Venusaur is out, but hey, fortune favors the bold, right? As he misses Sleep Powder. That means it's a 2-shot for him, and this battle should be ours. Gyarados' thrashing definitely lays down some pain on Lapras, but we are successful. Yeah, this Alakazam, not threatening, in this battle anyway. I then defeat Giovanni, finishing the Rocket plotline, and it's time to take on our 5th gym leader, Sabrina. Sabrina usually likes to do a little bit of setup with her lead Kadabra, so I decided to do a little setup of my own, getting 2 DDs in before going on the offense. Kadabra went for 2 Future Sights, so okay. And we carve through Kadabra and Mr. Mime, but then miss the one-shot against Venomoth. Venomoth hits a Psybeam, which also confuses us, and that's all it's gonna take for another reset. I hit myself twice in a row before taking out Venomoth with a critical no less, and then I hit myself a 3rd time against Alakazam, who ends the battle. The RNG giveth and the RNG taketh away. I do the exact same thing on the next attempt, but this time I'm not confused, so we win. This mixed attacking style is why I chose a serious nature or neutral. Also for our ability, it was a toss-up between Shell Armor and Water Absorb. Water Absorb absorbs and heals you when taking water damage, but that's kind of a one-trick pony type of move per battle, whereas Shell Armor is always going to be blocking critical hits. But anyway, Sabrina is out of here, so let's head south to Fuchsia. At the end of the Safari Zone lies a move that I'm excited for every time I play a water Pokemon. HM3 Surf is gonna pair beautifully with our Ice Beam coverage. Once I teach Surf over Water Pulse, we're pretty much gonna have the moveset that I felt would take us through the rest of the game. I'm not convinced that Treefitty is gonna need to use substrats, but I mean, you know how much I love my substrats. With that little upgrade, we can check out Gym Leader number 6, Koga. My biggest fear in this battle is honestly Muck. Stab Surf deletes his lead coughing in a single shot. Oh, Surf just gets me all tingly sometimes. Against Muck, I decided to set up a single DD, which I don't think was the best move. I should have tested if Ice Beam or Surf was doing half or not instead of going for the setup, but here we are. As it turns out too, giving Muck enough opportunity to set up even one minimize can be the end of a battle. For the life of him, Treefitty cannot land a hit against this thing. I do manage to hit a Surf, which is doing less than half, so okay, I know that now. But even with our Pecha Berry, we just cannot seem to hit Muck. If only it were Gen 5 when Body Slam hit things that were minimized for double damage. Not today, Muck sends us packing. Another nasty bit about Muck on top of the minimize is the fact that as we set up our attack, he's able to set up his defense, but 2 stages at a time instead of 1. As such, I decided to go all offense with my Water and Ice type move. Koga uses a Hyper Potion, and after what feels like a whole bunch of turns, we finally take down this creamy goo monster. Slimy goo monster? Whatever Muck is. Koga's second coughing, of course, just gets swept away by another Surf, and out pops the Ace Wheezing. I go for Surf for well over half as he goes for Sludge, pretty much bouncing off of us, and one more Stab Surf ends the battle. A trip and a stumble against the last 2 gym leaders, but we're still under 45 minutes heading towards Cinnabar Island. The only thing to report through this section of the game is that I will be defeating all of the trainers in Blaine's gym. Our lowest stat is our speed, and going first in a few battles would be nice, so I do want the investment of speed EVs from this training. It also makes a lot of sense to me because as a slow growth rate non-legendary Pokemon, we're probably gonna need a little bit of grinding. Blaine's gym also has a ton of money in it, so that just secures that game corner option if we need it. That's all I have to report here though, and the next 2 gym battles are gonna be super easy. The Fire-type Blaine is next. Because of our Ice typing, Blaine's fire moves are actually going to be hitting us for neutral damage. As such, I wanted to make sure that I was the one in control of this battle, going for a single DD against Growlithe. This wasn't for our attack at all. Stab super effective Surf is the way to go, but I wanted that speed. Blaine's fastest Pokemon is Rapidash at 93, so after a single DD, we outspeed everything, and Stab super effective Surf washes away his first 3 party members. His Ace Arcanine is last, and we're 4 levels lower, just barely missing the one-shot. We take a fairly chunky Fire Blast as a result, but I'm still not that worried. Blaine uses a Hyper Potion as I go for Body Slam, also getting the Paralysis. Alright, I was just going for the chip damage, but I'll take the Paralyze too. Blaine uses a full heal, but we outsped anyway, and Surf ends the battle. There's nothing to report in the Sevi Island, so I'm actually going to jump us right ahead to the final gym leader, Giovanni. This final gym battle is going to be, once again, no problem. Stab super effective Surf, sometimes 4 times super effective, deals with his entire team. At 93 speed as well, the only member of his party that we don't outspeed is Dugtrio. We can't be crit either, so how much do you really think he can do against us? The answer is nothing. This battle is almost over before it began. Treefitty collects the 8th gym badge with just under 52 minutes on the clock. Pretty good, and there's one final challenge before we can jump into the leagues. Against Rival 6, we're back to one-shotting Bird Brains with Ice Beam, so that feels really good, no sand attacks this time. And of course, Rhyhorn just goes away. But the big problem that I encounter is that Venusaur outspeeds us. He has 105 speed in this battle, and we're only at 95, so he sets up a growth and then hits a heavy Razor Leaf before we take him out. With all of that extra damage, I would not be surprised if Gyarados took us out, but we crit with Ice Beam, taking him out in a single shot. It's against Alakazam that everything falls apart. He outspeeds, setting up a Calm Mind, so our Ice Beam just bounces right off of him. +1 Stab Psychic then ends the battle for our 8th reset. It's a simple enough solution, using a single DD against Pidgeot in the next battle so that I outspeed Venusaur and no longer take that Razor Leaf. Gyarados seems to want to go for Hydro Pump this time, so I take the opportunity to set up another DD here. Then once Growlithe hits the field, I decided that Growlithe can really do absolutely nothing against us, so let's set up even more. I set up enough Dragon Dances to get our attack back to +2 after the Intimidates that we took. Then it's no shocker, we outspeed this time, hitting a Body Slam against Alakazam for the one-shot. There are no final challenges ahead of us, so we can jump straight into the Round 1 League. The Ice-type Lorelai kicks us off, and because this is a Generation 1 remake, of course most of her team is water, not ice. This is one of the places where water types typically struggle because Lorelai is pretty bulky. I don't feel Lapras would have had much trouble coming in here with Thunderbolt, but DD and Body Slam should do just fine for us. Because Dugong can't do anything really against us, I set up to +4, then going on the offense. Against Cloyster, it seems that we're doing just under half damage, so I take the time to set up a 5th Dragon Dance. Slowbro is out going for Yawn, and I kinda want to stall this for a second if I can. So I set up another Dragon Dance and fall asleep. The reason I wanted to fall asleep against Slowbro is once again because Slowbro can do significantly less damage than I feel Lapras or Jinx could. Jinx is out next, and oh yeah, +6 Body Slam says bye-bye Jinx, with Lorelai's Lapras coming out last. Our +6 Body Slam does a heck of a lot more than her +0 Body Slam does. Treefitty ends the battle on the next turn. Bruno is next. Bruno is arguably one of the most threatening trainers in this league for Treefitty. He is gonna absolutely shower us with rock and fighting type moves, both of which we're weak to. I wanted to see how far we would get with just our natural damage in this battle, so I take out Onix immediately with 4x super effective Surf. Hitmonchan is next, and we're doing maybe a third? Meanwhile, Sky Uppercut is doing a lot more than a third. I thought maybe I'd get clever with a DD, but I forgot that Hitmonchan also has Mach Punch, ending the battle. I took another reset, attempting the battle again, and that's when I decided to use some rare candies. I'm gonna regret doing this early, but that's a later problem. I use 8 rare candies, bringing us over 3 more damage rounding thresholds, but this was actually once again for my speed. I'm gonna be setting up Dragon Dances against Onix here. For every speed increase Dragon Dance gets us though, Onix's Rock Tomb brings it back down. That's the reason I went to level 58, so that I would have 117 speed, just being faster than Hitmonlee. This might have been a little bit excessive, but I really didn't trust Rock Tomb to miss reliably. Oh boy, speaking of hoping for Rock Tomb misses, just wait till round 2. I get my +4 against Onix and then go for the sweep. There's a fine line to tiptoe here, and I don't want to set up too much and get knocked down low enough that Hitmonchan's priority Mach Punch would take us out. +4 Body Slam is just barely not enough to take out Machamp as he strikes back with a stab, super effective Cross Chop, leaving us at 3 hit points. Oh my gosh. Deep breaths, man, deep breaths as we take out Machamp with one more Body Slam and one final stab. 4x super effective Surf deals with the final Onix. Alright, next playthrough. Invest in some defense EVs maybe. Against Agatha, I'm once again going to be setting up a single turn of DD at the start of the battle, but because our only move is Body Slam, which doesn't hit ghosts, I'm again doing this solely for speed. Her lead Gengar loves setting up with double teams, so unfortunately this leads to a whole bunch of misses, but we make it through and start carving through the rest of her team. It's when her ace Gengar hits the field that I realize my error. I should have had a Chesto Berry equipped, as we don't one-shot her ace Gengar being put to sleep and then drawn into a nightmare. That's gonna be another reset that was completely avoidable. In the next battle, I have my Chesto Berry equipped and her ace Gengar decides to go for Sludge Bomb. Rude. But it all works out in the end as we take out her ace Gengar, leaving Haunter. We miss the one-shot again, leaving Haunter at a sliver, get put to sleep, and that Chesto Berry saves us. Bye-bye, Haunter. Let's take our Ice type to face the Dragon Master. I'm actually going to end up setting up 2 Dragon Dances against his lead Gyarados, but that's totally unnecessary. After the first one, we had 179 speed, which outspeeds Aerodactyl, and that's all we needed. I get my +2 in while Gyarados just sits there hammering away at Treefitty. After some back and forth, he manages to tag us with a Hyper Beam on the way out, knocking us down to 30 hit points, but our held Citrus Berry bounces us back to 70. Lance is definitely one of those battles that having that slightly larger health pool is very nifty. The good news is that we are now faster and have a super effective option against the rest of his team. Aerodactyl falls to Surf, both Dragonairs to a single Ice Beam each, and then one final stab. 4 times super effective Ice Beam freezes away Dragonite. Not a worry, let's move on to the champion. Turn 1, we can take out Pidgeot in a single shot with Stab Super Effective Ice Beam, but unfortunately, Pidgeot is already faster than us. That means we're going to be outsped a lot in this battle. Surf deletes Rhydon, bringing out his ace Venusaur. Venusaur being faster, though, is not the end of the world, as he sets up a Growth and then goes for Solar Beam. That means that Venusaur has 2 turns of inactivity as I fire off Ice Beams. I'm pretty sure we would not have survived a 3rd turn here, but hey, 2 Ice Beams was enough. Alakazam is next, and this is where I feel everything fell apart. I tried setting up a Dragon Dance, but Alakazam's Psychic hurts way too much. When I switch to Body Slam, we miss the one-shot, also paralyzing Alakazam, but his Synchronize ability then paralyzes us. Yeah, that's not gonna end well. I try my darndest, but being paralyzed is simply overwhelming. The champion actually ends up getting me 5 times. And honestly, the majority of those resets were not because of me, and more because of Sand Attack. I'm now setting up a single turn of DD against Pidgeot, just risking the Sand Attack. Because I'm now faster than Venusaur, I'm actually going to use that fact to my advantage. He's going to follow the same turn order, going for Growth and then Solar Beam. Because I'm now faster, I can take an additional turn against Venusaur, setting up one final DD. Bye-bye Venusaur, and then the problematic Alakazam comes out. We outspeed, and +2 Body Slam takes out Alakazam in a single shot. Gyarados is out next, intimidating us, so I switch to Ice Beam, then back to Body Slam, and back to Ice Beam. The reason for this was to keep him out of heal range. 2 Ice Beams would have put him in Red Bar, and that invites a full restore. Arcanine brings up the rear, and Stab's super effective Surf washes him away. The champion has fallen. Overall so far, Lapras has felt incredibly sturdy, and there hasn't really been any battles that have really tripped us up. Yet. We have round 2 to look forward to. Lapras clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 48 seconds at level 61 with 17 resets. This took 3 hours and 33 minutes of game time. There's nothing exciting to report between the 2 rounds aside from the fact that, as always, I'm picking up the leftovers. The leftovers always feel so great on a bulkier Pokemon like Lapras. I'm actually going to be skipping Substitute again because most of the reason that I use Substitute is to avoid speed drops. Dragon Dance counters that just fine on its own, so we can jump right into the round 2 leagues. The strategy against Lorelai pretty much mirrors exactly what I did in round 1. This time I know better though, I'm just gonna go all the way to +6 against Dugong. In round 2, Dugong knows Double Team, which can be annoying, but also Signal Beam. This makes round 2 Dugong slightly more difficult to set up against, but only slightly. After a whole bunch of turns, I am set up and finally hit through, taking out Dugong. Piloswine is next, switching to Stab Super Effective Surf for the one-shot. Lorelai sends out her Lapras, and we have our mirror match again. 1 level lower, but a lot more setup. Our Body Slam deals a bunch of damage, while Thunder deals some decent damage in return. Luckily, I wasn't paralyzed, and on the next turn, we score a critical hit, taking out her ace. For Cloyster, I switch back to Resisted Surf, because Cloyster, and then Jinx comes out. And, well, we've already seen what +6 Body Slam does to a Jinx. Let's check out Bruno. +4 with DD was enough for round 1 Bruno, and I was hoping that that would be enough here again. Especially since his Onyxes have upgraded to Steelixes, and despite losing Stab with Rock Tomb, they deal a lot more damage. Maybe it just feels that way, I don't know. Steelix refuses to miss the 80% accurate move, so by the time I get to +4, we're at about half health. I then unleash my body slam against Hitmonchan and we leave him at a sliver. Oh no. He responds with Rock Slide, taking us to 3 hit points. Oh boy. I predict Bruno's heal, setting up one more DD, but then Hitmonchan ends us with Mach Punch. Ah, those darn priority moves. In the next attempt, I managed to get to +4, taking the Hitmons out in a single shot each. +4 is not enough for Machamp though, as he responds with a stab super effective cross chop for another reset. In the next attempt, I make it to Machamp at +5, and we still leave him with just a sliver in red bar. Oh man, at least cross chop didn't completely obliterate us this time, so I set up one more DD while he heals, and now +6 body slam finally takes out Machamp. And obviously the final Steelix is no problem for Surf. Okay, those rock tombs weren't too bad, but we still have a Heracross to look forward to. First we gotta get there. Our first attempt against Agatha illustrates everything that I hate about Agatha. Her lead Gengar outspeeds, confusing us right off the bat. I hit myself, and then I hit myself again, and then she puts us to sleep, and then I wake up and continue to hit myself. In this first attempt, I don't manage to land a single move. I spent the entire time asleep or hitting myself. I tried going in with a Lumberry for a couple of attempts, but we just got too beat up throughout the battle. The leftovers are definitely saving us here. It's really just a matter of hoping that the 60% accurate hypnosis misses, or if we do get put to sleep, that we wake up in an appropriate amount of turns. In this attempt, I sleep for 4 turns in a row, and that's why we need the leftovers. I can be statused multiple times in this battle, so the leftovers just keep ticking. Then I manage to get through the fight with what I would consider to be just average luck. Thunderbolt has a 10% chance of paralyzing you, and this is the first time that I've made it through Misdreavus and her Ace Gengar without being paralyzed. Agatha and her shenanigans, I swear sometimes. But really, like, a lot sometimes. Before taking out her Ace Gengar, it knocked us down to 69 health. Nice. Leaving Crobat in the back, who is, of course, Ice Beam fodder. That's Agatha. There are 2 trainers left. The first reset against Lance was because I didn't teach my new move, so let's jump into the second reset. I felt it was finally time to get rid of Body Slam, replacing it with Shockwave, which is pretty much exclusively for this Gyarados. I hit Shockwave, but it does not one-shot Gyarados, so we end up paralyzed. No thanks, I'll reset. With the Cherry Berry on our side instead, we can take out Gyarados with no issue. In this attempt though, I did not bother setting up any Dragon Dances, so we're gonna be outsped a lot. All of these outspeeds and cumulative damage that we've absorbed because of it ends up being a little bit too much. We get so stinking close to taking out his final Kingdra, but we leave him at a sliver. With the sheer number of times that that's happened this run, I'm definitely feeling a plus special attack nature in the next playthrough. The Gyarados strategy remains the same, getting him out of there as soon as possible with Shockwave, then setting up a single DD against Aerodactyl. Yeah, there have been a couple more resets though, because Aerodactyl has really liked Omni boosting. When he doesn't get that 10% chance, we see a successful battle. It's definitely expedited a little bit with a critical Ice Beam against Kingdra on the last turn, but I still felt like we had a couple turns of longevity in us. Alright, this leaves one final battle, and yeah, the champion is not kind. Allow me to demonstrate just how unkind he was in this first battle. We lead off against Heracross, who I mentioned earlier is once again going to be hitting a bunch of Rock Tombs. The funny thing is that I'm actually hoping for Rock Tombs here. The reason for that is that Mega Horn deals a huge amount of damage. Oh, and by the way, I hope you're ready to watch Heracross never miss. Rock Tomb has an accuracy of 80%, while Mega Horn has an accuracy of 85%. How many times do you think he went for those moves, and how many times do you think he missed? In this first attempt, I became very worried that we were outmatched by the champion's first Pokémon, let alone the rest of his team. A handful of resets later, and let me show you what happens when we actually make it past Heracross. Meet Tyranitar, who absolutely owns us. Another few attempts later, and I was absolutely raging at this point. This Heracross will not miss. It got bad to the point that I even cheated in a single rare candy just to bring us over that level 73 damage rounding threshold. I just kept missing damage ranges if and only if I managed to make it past this bloody bug. Heracross continues wrecking us. On my 15th attempt of this battle, Heracross finally misses a Rock Tomb. A single miss in all of this time. +4 return takes out Heracross, and we've got about half health for the rest of this battle. As Tyranitar hits the field, he kicks up a Sandstorm, so that deletes any recovery we would have seen from leftovers. Fortune then favors us as I hit a stab, super effective, critical shot taking out T-Tar. I'm pretty sure that right there, in combination with Heracross's miss, is why we finally win. Venusaur is next, setting up the sun, so our leftovers is useful again as I tag him with an Ice Beam, knocking him into Red Bar. And I don't want to play with Venusaur in the sunlight, so I just keep going for Ice Beams. Please don't hit me. Venusaur falls, bringing out Alakazam. With our setup, we're much faster, and +4 return takes out Alakazam. We're definitely not out of the woods yet, though. Both Gyarados and Arcanine have killed me. After the Intimidate, Return only knocks Gyarados into Red Bar, so while he heals, I set up another DD. Return then leaves him in Red Bar a second time. These ranges! He heals again, but then I finally take out Gyarados, bringing out Arcanine last. Stab, super effective Surf, misses the one-shot again, and we leave him with a sliver. Oh my goodness! Note to self, train before round 1 Bruno. Don't just throw all your rare candies away. Finally, Arcanine falls, and this ridiculously stressful battle is over. So there's definitely some optimizations that need to be made before the second playthrough. Honestly though, despite all of the frustrations in that battle, I feel like just a couple of additional levels would have made a massive difference. Treefitty clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 53 seconds at level 73 with 45 resets. This took 4 hours and 40 minutes of game time. Alright, playthrough 2, let's see what kind of trouble we can get into. There really wasn't anything that I decided to change with Lapras aside from our nature. Because of how many damage ranges I felt that I was missing throughout the entire game, I felt that Modest was the way to go. I went with a Modest nature this time, plus special attack and minus attack. This is because of all of those damage ranges that I just kept missing in every fight it felt last run. I was considering reducing speed, but it's nice to go first on some of those initial turns of battle, so I decided to go with attack. There weren't too many cases where our attack stat was the issue. Plus, I mean, we can set it up because, of course, I kept Dragon Dance. The path to Brock remains pretty much exactly the same, except for I also defeat Bugcatcher Charlie in Viridian Forest. Plus, look at this encounter luck. I didn't edit this stretch at all. I didn't get a single encounter. Defeating him gives us a little bit of extra experience that I feel is going to make our early game a lot easier. The path to Brock remains otherwise unchanged, defeating him with ease. Then in Mount Moon, the route remains the same as last time, defeating Hiker Marcos and grabbing the Helix Fossil. Fun little editor's note here, I am actively trying not to sing Eiffel 65 right now. It's tough. In Cerulean City, I'm actually going to be doing a touch of additional training. I'll be defeating both of them because I had a level goal in mind and wasn't entirely sure about what that looked like. Don't worry, it was suboptimal by like 30 paces or something, we're fine. Then for Misty, even with our attack-reducing nature, it seems that 3 DDs is the magic number once again. I finished the battle leveling up to 18 over the next damage rounding threshold, which is exactly what I wanted for Rival 2. Level 18 plus the Modest nature gives us a guaranteed 2-shot on Pidgeotto with room to spare. Level 18 is once again going to help us against Bulbasaur, doing over half with Body Slam. And we not only get the paralysis, but Bulbasaur is fully paralyzed. I could not have asked for a better Rival 2 battle. Let's keep moving. The route then remains exactly the same, helping Bill and heading south towards the SSN next. Then on the SSN, we're facing Rival 3 against this darn Ivysaur. He lands a Leech Seed on us, and this is a big problem when you have a base HP stat of 130. Leech Seed is taking so much health from us and giving it back to Ivysaur that our Body Slams almost can't out-damage it. That hurts, and we're going to be taking reset number 1. In the next battle, I fully paralyze Ivysaur, and then we crit. So this battle's over. That's 2 rival battles in a row that we've won with the paralysis. I love it. Voltorb manages to beat us up a little bit more against Lieutenant Surge, but once again, with the power of Dragon Dance, he's no issue. Then in Rock Tunnel, I'm doing a touch of additional training. This training serves the goal of getting level 31 before we get to Erika's fight, so we're not fighting those messy trainers again. The nice thing about knocking out some of these Geodudes as well is that they're giving us defense EVs, and as you saw in the last run, some extra defense is probably gonna help a lot. And at the end of the Giovanni battle in the Rocket Hideout, we level up to 31, learning Ice Beam. Erika is then obviously no problem at all, especially with the modest nature now, and Rival 4 falls just as easily. Next is Silph Co, where I'm going to be doing a touch of additional item collection. I'm also choosing to do this before clearing out the rockets for a little bit of additional experience. I'm only hitting mandatory battles and the occasional extra battle on the way to items. I'm focusing as much as I can on the 3 EVs that I want the most of: Special Attack, Defense, and Speed. Rival 5 is next, and this time we're coming into the battle at level 37 instead of level 35. Not a massive difference, but we got a couple of extra stats. I already know the score here, setting up a single DD and then going for the knockout. Venusaur comes out, and because I'm wearing a Chesto Berry, he of course goes for Poison Powder. Alright, Venusaur's out of here without any additional damage, but that's gonna be a problem. I don't have the best answer for Gyarados at the moment, so I end up taking a few extra turns, and that poison damage plus Dragon Rage ends up taking us out. In the next battle, Venusaur behaves the way I hoped he would, going for Sleep Powder and also missing. But if you think that's a turn of luck, wait till you see Gyarados. Turn 1 this time, we freeze him. Seriously, if either of those things had happened last battle, we wouldn't have reset, but hey, RNG, what you gonna do? Sabrina is the next to fall, and then we're off to the department store to buy our vitamins. You can't see them, but I can see my EVs while I'm playing. Including the 3 calciums that I picked up, I grabbed 2 more, then 2 carbos, that should put us at 100 or at least high 90s in both of those stats. And then I actually dump all of my remaining money into iron, buying 7. 7 may have been ill-advised, but hey, I got excited. I end up selling 4 back to him, so yes, that was bad, but it's okay, I don't need a lot of money beyond this point. The journey south remains the same, targeting Koga next. I swear, Lapras in this playthrough just cannot help but freeze everything. Turn 1 against Muck, we get another freeze. And he just sits there frozen for a whole bunch of turns. In hindsight, I should have used this opportunity to set up some DD and switch to Body Slam for him, but it works out in the end. By which, of course, I mean when we get to Wheezing, we also get a freeze. Let's go, Lapras. I hope that this luck holds into the leagues. With luck like that on our side, Koga falls without issue, and we're off to Cinnabar. The route remains the same, clearing all of the trainers in his gym, and this time at level 45, with the modest nature, we one-shot Arcanine. I've talked about in other videos just how nice it is to one-shot instead of two-shotting. In the next section, I do deviate from the first run again. It's not a big deviation, though. All I'm doing is defeating all of the trainers in Giovanni's gym. I was still a little bit underneath the EV cap, so defeating all of the trainers in here grants a bunch more defense EVs. Did I go a little excessive on these? Maybe. But you know what? Our biggest problems in the league last time were physical attacks. Giovanni himself is a total pushover, clearing the gym challenge in just under 50 minutes this time. This means that we're 2 minutes faster, 3 levels higher with our EVs much more dialed in, I hope. Again, leaning on knowledge from the first run, Rival 6 then falls easily. Then in Victory Road, I'm going to be doing a touch of additional training. Even, and this is much to my dismay, having to defeat 2 wild battles on the way out. I did not clear all of the trainers in Victory Road, and so in hindsight, once again, I probably should have defeated maybe the Chansey trainer instead. You live, you learn, right? At level 55, we are now ready to jump in to the Round 1 League. There was one final thing to do before engaging Lorelai, and that was using 5 rare candies to get up to level 60. Even at this higher level, the strategy remains identical to last time, going all the way to +6 against Dugong. After the setup, we can then start rocking through her team, with only Cloyster giving us a little bit of trouble. And by trouble, of course, I mean that she was using a bunch of Protect, so I guess it was less so trouble and more so just stalling? Unfortunately, even with those extra couple of damage rounding thresholds, Lapras is not a one-shot, but hey, is there any doubt that we win this battle? As a result of needing 2 turns to take out Lapras, I do have that Person Berry equipped, which saves us from Confuse Ray. Planning, you gotta love it. And here's the perfect example of when not following the plan kinda causes things to fall apart. Did you notice that I have not healed? Yes, unfortunately that little bit of additional damage that we started off the battle with is gonna result in another reset. I get my setup in against Onyx, but we're way too beat up, and Hitmonchan takes us out with a priority Mach Punch. He ends up getting me a second time, this time due to criticals, but on the third attempt we're successful. Alright, one reset was my fault for sure, and one reset was the RNG. I'll take my lumps. This battle actually is quite tight, and that last little bit of setup was needed for Machamp. Even with all of our defensive EVs this time, I felt it was more important to go for the one-shot against Machamp than trying to survive a cross-chop. Bruno falls, let's hope there's no more hiccups. Against Agatha, I get my single turn of DD in, and then we crit with Ice Beam, knocking out Gengar in a single shot. Ice Beam has been ridiculous this run. Between the criticals and the freezes, what is going on? I start hacking through her team, going for a body slam against Arbok just for that little bit of chip damage, and there are no issues in this battle. Our slightly higher level and modest nature also guarantee the one-shot against Haunter, so we avoid another Hypnosis. It's all good news. That's gonna leave Lance for the round 1 Elite Four. Against Lance, two-shotting his Gyarados is a range, and I didn't quite trust the range, so I ended up mixing in a Body Slam as well. Gyarados, after all, is the biggest threat unless Aerodactyl gets an Omni Boost. When I say Omni Boost, I of course am referring to the 10% chance for an Ancient Power boost. When he gets it, it increases his attack, defense, special attack, special defense, and speed. Without the boost, he's a one-shot. With the boost, he's not. I also didn't need to bother setting up any Dragon Dances in this fight, as we are naturally faster than all of Lance's team except for Aerodactyl. Ice Beam once again does work in this battle, but hey, we're against the Dragon Master. What else did you expect? Let's take on the Round 1 champion. Once again, relying on knowledge gained in the first run, I'm going with a single DD right off the bat. I can then start carving through his team, and very exciting news here, we level up to 63 after defeating Rhydon. This puts us over another damage rounding threshold, which means that Venusaur is now possibly a one-shot. I hit him with Ice Beam, leaving him in red bar, unfortunately. You can see the damage range though after the rival goes for a full restore and Ice Beam knocks him out from full the second time. Against Alakazam, things are a little shaky, but the goal is just make him go away. I do have a Citrus Berry equipped for that little bit of additional sustain, which we absolutely need against Gyarados. I wrestled with the idea of, say, teaching Shockwave for this battle, but I felt that our moveset was just too solid to dissect right now. We actually end up getting another freeze against Gyarados, but he does defrost on the exact same turn, going for Thrash. Things were definitely not the smoothest against Gyarados, but we have 74 hit points left for Arcanine. We outspeed, hitting Stab's super effective Surf for the one-shot. The Round 1 champion has fallen. And wow, look at that timer, just under an hour and 2 minutes. That means we're creeping up on being 5 minutes faster right now. But remember, it was in round 2 that my most egregious fights were. Lapras clocks in with a round 1 time of 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 6 seconds at level 63 with 5 resets. This took 3 hours and 47 minutes of game time. There's only one change to discuss between the leagues. With our round 1 Elite Four cash in hand, we're now rich enough to afford a Game Corner TM. Oh yeah, I think that this may rank among one of the most expensive one-shots that I've ever had on the channel. Yeah, I'm buying this for a single Pokemon. Let's find out who it is in the round 2 leagues. There we go, we're coming into the league at level 67 this time, but I have a lot more rare candies waiting in the wings. The strategy once again remains exactly the same, setting all the way up to +6 with Dragon Dance while Dugong just kind of does their thing over there. I'm fortunate enough to hit through on Dugong early enough that we can keep moving pretty early. I switch to Surf for Piloswine for the guaranteed one-shot and then continue rocking through her team with Body Slam. The biggest risk in this battle is actually against Lorelai's Lapras. Unless Dugong goes horribly, I'm pretty sure that Lapras paralyzing us with Thunder is the only other lose condition that we have here. I switch back to Resisted Surf against Cloyster, and Cloyster lands a Supersonic. We hit ourselves on the next turn, okay, and then we hit ourselves on the next turn, please? Oh, okay, on the third turn, we snap out of confusion and finish the battle. That would have been a super unfortunate reset. Against round 2 Bruno, my #1 priority is making sure that I heal before the battle. Egghead. But in the battle itself, the magic number of setup seems to be +4. I felt that going for the one-shot against Machamp was simply too risky in round 2. If Steelix manages to get a defense drop against us with Iron Tail, that's bad news bears. In this attempt, I'm actually fairly lucky, with Steelix missing 2 Rock Tombs, which had not happened during testing. The hope, anyway, was just for 1, but I'll take 2. Stab super effective Surf takes him out, and then +4 Body Slam takes out Hitmonchan as well as Hitmonlee. Machamp is out next, and I can't get the one-shot, tossing in a cheeky Ice Beam and hoping for another freeze. No dice today, but it's not a problem as we survive his cross-chop with no issue. Can you see what I mean by a defense drop from Iron Tail would have been fatal though? Body Slam takes him out on the next turn, and then one final stab, super effective Surf cleans up the final Steelix. Agatha is next. Against Agatha, this time I'm going in with a Lumberry instead of the leftovers. The overall strategy does remain the same, setting up a single DD and then going on the offense. Gengar triggers our Lumberry early with Hypnosis, so that's gone. Let's hope we don't get paralyzed. And against Mischievous, okay, we are safe from that Thunderbolt. There's only one more Thunderbolt that could really trip us up, and that's going to be her Ace Gengar. Arbok is no problem. By the way, all love to Shell Armor. I love never being crit. Bye-bye Arbok, and we level up to 69. Nice. And speaking of critical hits, we get one against the Ace Gengar. Heck yeah. Alright, we win. At 214 speed, we outspeed Crobat, and that's another one-shot. Let's move on to Lance. In between battles, I finally got rid of Body Slam in favor of TM24 Thunderbolt, which we just bought from the Game Corner. That's gonna make Gyarados go away, and yep, that's all we needed Thunderbolt for. Aerodactyl is out next, so I set up a single DD, boosting our speed higher than his, and it's over, buddy. We can hack through his next Pokemon with super effective stab moves, bringing out Kingdra. I felt so bad about only using Thunderbolt once in the entire run that I decided to mix in a couple against Kingdra. Ice Beam would be dealing more damage, but once again, I'm trying to avoid heal ranges here. 2 Thunderbolts and an Ice Beam keep him out of heal range and clean up the battle. That leaves Lapras with one final challenge, the Round 2 champion. The Round 2 champion, the pinnacle of any run, and I pull another Egghead move. Do you see it on my moveset? Why is Thunderbolt still here? What use is Dragon Dance without a physical move? I did manage to use my final 8 rare candies, bringing us up to level 78, but I did not teach Return. It takes me a few turns to realize it, but yep, that's gonna be a reset. Alright, now with the correct moveset, let's actually attempt this champion. Being at level 78 over a couple more damage rounding thresholds is great, but there's a second effect that it has against Heracross here. All of our stats are higher, but most notably our defense and speed are higher, so Heracross is going to be more inclined to go for more Rock Tombs. The AI, after all, sees Rock Tomb as more of a speed control than a damaging move. And with those additional defensive EVs, Mega Horn is doing even less damage, further deprioritizing it. I think. This makes Heracross much more consistent to set up against. I get my +4 and it's time to go on the offense. I accidentally toss in a Return against Tyranitar, but it doesn't really matter because he's a 2-shot regardless. But I probably should have gone for Ice Beam hoping for more freezes, right? Venusaur is out next, and funny enough, I'm gonna be using him to set up a little bit more. Since Solar Beam is a 2-turn move, he's either gonna go for Sunny Day, which would then make it a 1-turn move, or straight for Solar Beam, which takes a turn to charge. Either way, I get a free turn, setting up one more DD so that Return will knock out Venusaur on the next turn. Alakazam is out next, and I make another boo-boo here. I only needed to set up once more, but I accidentally go for 2 turns of DD against Alakazam, resulting in taking a chunky Psychic. The reason I wanted that one additional turn of setup against Alakazam, though, is that even after Gyarados pops out and intimidates us, +5 is still enough for a one-shot with Return. But the best news is that the Sunny Day that Venusaur cast has faded away as Arcanine hits the field, so we outspeed, hitting one final stab super effective Surf for the one-shot. It just doesn't get old. As I mentioned before, I feel like my biggest problem in that first run was blowing my rare candies too early. Coming into round 2 with just that little bit of additional flexibility made all of the difference. Lapras clocks in with a round 2 time of 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 56 seconds at level 78 with 6 resets. This took 4 hours and 49 minutes of game time. Comparing the two runs, you can see that we just barely made it through Brock a little bit faster, but that extra training before Misty ended up costing a little bit of time. It definitely felt like it paid off though, giving us a few much more consistent battles despite all the luck we had in the early game. We gain and hold about a 3 to 4 minute lead ahead of the last run until we get to that 8th badge where we drop down to 2 minutes. The reason for this was doing all of that additional training, so that definitely set us up for the league a little bit better, coming in almost 5 minutes faster in round 1. The biggest time saves though were definitely in round 2, finishing 22 minutes and 57 seconds faster, 5 levels higher but with 39 less resets. Because of the additional grinding, our game time did go up, but I am usually not very concerned with game time. Well done, Lapras. On the tier list, Lapras finds themselves right behind Raikou, which is pretty darn impressive if you ask me. Granted, we did have exceptional typing for this region, as well as an awesome egg move. Well done, Lapras. I want to extend a special thank you to all of those generous enough to support the channel through YouTube memberships, Patreon, and Super Chat. Your generosity makes this content possible for everyone out there to enjoy. From the bottom of my shell, thank you so much. And thank you for making it to the end of the video. Watching all the way until the end and your engagement help my channel so much, so if you feel like I've earned it, consider leaving a like and comment about the run, what you'd like to see in the future, or just to say hi. Hello. If you'd like to keep up with my future releases, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications to never miss a video. Until next time, take care everyone.